Well, good morning, friends, and welcome to Wake Up in the Word. Thanks for joining me on a beautiful Monday morning. Would you turn for just a short sentence that we're going to look at in Genesis chapter 41 and then talk a little bit more about what's about to happen to our friend Joseph as we look at him again today as we wake up in the Word. God bless you. Thank you for joining me today. A special shout out for that big 50 birthday to Clay Green. Man, God bless you, Clay. We were at times when you were younger wondering if you'd make it to the next birthday. So we are just thrilled, man, you can celebrate the big 50 today and praying for you especially. And also I want you to pray for our nation. We're going to see an interesting correlation to something that will alert us today of how long it takes for God to work and how long things take in His plan versus our demand for instant gratification or instant relief. It's amazing what God does when He wants to put us through a time of testing and waiting. And with that thought in mind, I want you to be praying for our nation. We watched a Congress that not only does not know the meaning of the word amen, but a Congress that violated our own Constitution no less than half a dozen times in a week. Friends, we've got a long couple of years ahead of us with the group that we have running the show in Washington. What's going to happen? Well, I don't know, but guess what? It's not going to be solved tomorrow. None of these problems are ever solved that quickly. Now, are they? So, my friends, get ready for the long haul with the Lord, praying and interceding for every single person that has influence, power, and authority within the government of our country. And for those of you listening to me in other countries, the same kind of thing holds true for you. Keep your leaders in your prayers and pray that God will move. When you have leaders that seem to be moving against you and moving against the church and trying to persecute the church, then it's time to fight that battle on our knees. And let's see what God does. Well, having said that, I want to give you, first of all, the introduction to chapter 41 from Chuck Swindoll, who brings to light some interesting things. And I'll go ahead and read just this first sentence in chapter 41, because that's what we'll zero in on today. Joseph, of course, has been in prison. He's interpreted the dreams of a couple of guys. One in particular was going to go into the house of Pharaoh. He said, "Remember me when you get there, because I'm in prison for the wrong reasons." And the guy's like, "Yeah, of course I'll remember you." And he quickly forgot all about Joseph when he landed the job as Pharaoh's cupbearer once again. And the verse that starts chapter 41 is chilling. It should frighten most of us who want an answer today from God about whatever it is we're facing. It says, "When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream." Now, I'm not going to get into Pharaoh's dream until tomorrow, because I want to zero in on this fact that the Lord has been silent for Joseph 2 long years. Joseph perhaps was ready. He thought his deliverance was about to come when the cupbearer once again was restored to Pharaoh's house, and the cupbearer quickly forgot him. Some of you might be saying, "God, why didn't you send the cupbearer a dream or Pharaoh a dream? When did you do something right then and there?" Apparently, the time was not right. Not yet, God was saying, while we're clamoring at His door, beating it down. Listen to what Swindoll says about some of this. He said, "Pain, when properly handled, can shape a life for greatness." You didn't want to hear that on a Monday morning, now did you? History is replete with stories of those whose struggles and scars formed the foundation for remarkable achievements. In fact, it was because of their hardship that they gained what they needed to achieve greatness. He goes on to say, "For a long time I wrestled with this concept in my life. It seemed to be a cruel philosophy. Why should anyone need to suffer?" What do you mean? There are benefits that come only through struggles. But I've now come full circle. I agree with A.W. Tozier, who said, "It is doubtful whether God can bless a man greatly until he has hurt him deeply." I could mention numerous examples, but certainly no life evidences this truth more clearly than the life of Joseph. And of course, that's the life that we're looking at right now. Why is it that God had to keep Joseph running through this cycle of seeming pain and problems? Many of us ask the Lord the same thing. God, I'm back in the hospital. Oh Lord, there's more treatments ahead. Oh no, I thought this was over, but it's just beginning. And you know, you hear this over and over again in the lives of people. Could it be that God still has lessons for us to learn that's going to prepare us for what He really wants to do in our life eventually? You know, when you look at people that didn't understand as they were in God's waiting room, Job is one of the clearest examples of all. Dear old Job, beaten black and blue by calamity, the death of 10 children, imagine that, the destruction of his home, the loss of everything he owned, including his own health, didn't even have the comfort of caring friends. His friends were a bunch of jerks, weren't they? He had nothing. I don't think anyone would, cluck his tongue at at Job, rather, for saying what he does in meditating on his plight, searching for God's answers. If you read in Job chapter 23, verses 3 through 9, you'll hear these words. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come to his seat. I would present my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would learn the words which he would answer and perceive what he would say to me. Would he contend with me by the greatness of his power? No, surely he would pay attention to me. There the upright would reason with him, and I would be delivered forever from my judge. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward I cannot perceive him. When he acts on the left, I cannot behold him, and he turns on the right, I cannot see him. Job, very much like Joseph must have felt as we arrive in Genesis 41, could not see the hand of God, what he was doing, and have any concept of where he was supposed to go from this point. Just trapped in God's waiting room, in this case, Joseph in a prison, just waiting for God to act. Job is saying, hey, I wish I could find God. I wish I could just sit down with him and plead my case. Say, Lord, can't you fix this? But in the end, Job gives us a statement of faith. Listen to what he says. But he knows the way I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot has held fast to his path. I have kept his way and not turned aside. I have not departed from the command of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. You know, it's those who persevere during the dark times and the silent times that can somehow make it to the end. Now, some of you, as you're praying for our nation today, are thinking very similar to what Joseph perhaps was. It says, when 2 full years have passed, friends, a lot of us realize that there will not be a chance to change any of the people ruling our own nation for 2 full years. And in those 2 years, I've said this is going to be 2 of the most distressing years ever in the life of our country. What we're going to see may surprise and shock us. And what we saw this past week is only a foreboding of the days to come. What are we going to do? Are we going to step back and say, God, you have left us. God, you've forsaken us. Everything's going wrong, left and right. What are we going to do? Yet in all of these circumstances, God is still speaking. God is still moving. God is still acting. What's it going to be like in 2 years? God only knows, my friends. But you and I have got to wrestle with this idea of our impatience. We've got to recognize that we are not God and we're not calling the shots. We're not the ones who are going to determine what's going to happen, not even today, much less 90 days or 180 days from now. Friends, you and I are players on a very large stage, and we're one person who can make a difference, but only if, as that one person, you and I are willing to listen to the voice of God in the darkness. Trust Him in the darkness. Believe in Him while we're in prison. Recognize that our times of testing and trial aren't the end of all things. There is always, of course, a future to look forward to, including the fact that Jesus is coming back one day. But friends, there may be many other opportunities to serve and to step up for the Lord when the time is right. How will you know? Don't worry. The dreams will come. The opportunities will come. The doors will open. And then it'll be up to you to find out if you have stuck with the Lord through the dark times and the waiting times, and you're the person of character that's willing now to go through the door He's opened for you. Until that time, we'll keep waking up in His Word, keep looking for His direction in our lives, and trust that ultimately our sovereign Lord is in control and He'll see us through. God bless you. I'll see you again right here tomorrow as we wake up in His Word.